The Sims 1, released for PCs in 1999, is a pioneer in the life simulation genre of games that there are many other creators who could tell you its full impact in far better words than I could. The only thing I can really tell you is my own personal experience with the game, and concerning the PC version, I actually am not that experienced with it, believe it or not. Primary exposure to The Sims 1 is the console versions, particularly the PS2 version, that were released in 2004. They featured way upgraded graphics compared to this version, where basically everything was 3D. In this game, everything's kind of 2D except for your Sims themselves, who are 3D models. My mom had gotten the PC version from my aunt, along with The Sims 2. However, the computer we had at the time was really only powerful enough to run this game. Occasionally, she would let me play for an hour or two a night on the computer, because, well, kind of don't want to be sitting in front of screens all day. At least even 20 years ago we thought that. One of my favorite pastimes in the original Sims was just sitting around and building houses. I would waste pretty much the entire 1 to maybe 2 hours I was allotted on the computer at night just building houses. With my primary experience with The Sims 1 being on the console, I didn't have access to the literal cornucopia of mods to add variety to my house builds, leading to something usually pretty vanilla like what you're seeing right now in the speed build. But now it's time to get into what today's video is actually about. This is the first video of a series tackling 100 days in the life of Jimbo Jenius here, whose personality you can see on the screen. The first day consists mostly of just moving him into his house and getting it furnished. You'll notice I've gone mostly with low-cost items that have low motive restoration properties. I'm mostly hoping this doesn't bite me in the ass later on, because The Sims 1 is extremely unforgiving in how quick their motives fall. The console version not so much, but the PC version for sure. Hey, first order of business is to sell the magic box of crap that I actually don't know his name gives you, but, gives us a little extra starting cash, and I don't really plan on messing with the making magic stuff. So I think we get an extra $500 out of that, if I'm not mistaken. The first thing I do in any Sims game, although in one it's probably more important than any of the rest of them, is make my Sim learn cooking. Because, as LGR put it, Sims are basically incapable of standing upright without causing a raging inferno. As you can see, the newspaper girl has dropped off the paper in a magazine, and the welcome wagon has rolled in. So we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, find a job, and socialize a little bit. PC version of The Sims 1, the paper only gives 1 job option, which we're going to take here in the hacker career track as a beta tester. Here I'm going to try to interrupt Mortimer's puppet show with his wife to, well, satisfy my social need. Thing you can do in the original Sims game that I have done here to ease this challenge up a little bit is I made my Sim very introverted, which means I actually don't have to do very much socializing to keep his social need high. After serving everybody food, I decided to watch TV. Couldn't really find anything he wanted to watch. After some more failed attempts at socializing, I attempted to get everybody watching TV at once, which, well, as you can see, doesn't go extremely well here. Something to note with the older games is the low motive restoration items, your Sim won't fill up their motive bars, which is kind of a pain in the ass. I tried to talk to Mortimer about interests here, but as you can see, that really didn't go very well. Later that night, I told everybody to fuck off. After telling Bella to get lost, I laid down for bed. This noise scared the piss out of me, and as you notice, it's for a damn raccoon. Of course, he slept through the night without trouble. In this entire 14-day stretch in this video, I did not see a burglar once, and I remember them being a lot more common. After that prior pants-shitting moment, I decided to buy a burglar alarm and a fire alarm while I was at it, because I forgot to buy those when I was originally furnishing the house. This will be important later. Keep this in mind. Following on from there, I just basically got his motives up as much as I could until he went to work the next day, which is still a few hours off at this point. Just to kill some time, I made him go back to bed for a little while and make his energy build up faster, and as you can see, his motives are actually pretty high. He's got 4 bars of mood, so we go off to the first day of work. And come back being promoted to support tech. Now, as you'll notice here, I'm now making $150 a day, and I got a bonus of $300, so that's an extra $450 in one day trip. At this point, I noticed the outside was just pretty messy. Room score really affects your Sims mood in this game. And I know a clean space can definitely improve your mental well-being, but I feel like having a trash area is maybe a little exaggerated in this game. Having dinner there, and refilling his motives before I send him off to bed, because his energy need's pretty low here. And then I buy a woodworking table for mechanical skill. At the point that I bought this, I actually didn't realize that he needed mechanical skill to get promoted at his job. So it's a little bit of unintentional foreshadowing. When he got back from work, I was wondering why he didn't get promoted, so I checked the job panel, and of course he didn't have the needed mechanical skill. Good thing I bought that gnome making table. There's the 2 mechanical skill points needed on one gnome, because the first 2 points are usually the quickest. What am I saying usually? They're always the quickest. I didn't sell these gnomes right away. I was more concerned on getting his motives back up, and also putting a door right there so he didn't go all the way out the front door and around the dinner table. Why he didn't route through his bedroom since there's a door there, I don't really know, but I guess he didn't think that was any closer. Back to work, we get promoted again. This time $200 per day, and then a bonus $400, so we got $600. But unfortunately, basically, he had to turn around and leave for work again, which is kind of a pain. So I could just top up his fun motive a little bit, and obviously we're not getting promoted today because, well, I didn't have time to build those skills. Now, here I go to buy a logic item because he needs logic. I end up buying the checkers table. After buying the checkers table, I decided to sell the gnomes I had poured all that hard work into for the grand total sum of $12. That was really worth all the effort, wasn't it? In a vain effort to increase the room value, I had him water the plants. And I believe I actually don't know why he didn't just chain water them together. That might be a console thing I'm thinking of where they do that. Once again, it's time to clear everything out of the front yard to improve the room score, since watering the flowers didn't do anything. And we also get our mail. In The Sims 1, bills come every 3 days, and they're based off the percentage valuation of your house. Today was $157. This is the cheapest any of the bills I will be paying is. Once again, I forget to buy things. I put a phone in the house because, well, that's a good way to end up with free money. I hire a gardener because screw taking care of all these plants manually. That's just a lot of effort I don't want to expend. Jimbo wakes up again, and we have lunch because there's plenty of time to keep his motives decently up before work. As a side note, I really do like all the TV sound clips that the first Sims uses. Especially this little ad here. Of course, since his motives are high, we can build some more skill points up. And then I see he needs logic. After he takes off for work, I once again sell some more gnomes, this time for the whopping total of $16. $16 more than I had before. I'm visited by a raccoon once again. and Jimbo comes home once again. Now here, I run into an issue with the checkers table, and it may be further along in the video here. He wouldn't stay playing at it like you can play a chess table solo. Now I'm looking back on it, I think it was actually an issue with his motives. He needed something that just was keeping him from playing checkers. Now, you remember that fire alarm I bought earlier? It's about to become extremely important. Yeah, this is the first time in the entire, probably couple hundred of hours I've played this game, where you can set things on fire with a microwave. Having mostly played the console game, I don't ever remember the microwave setting anything on fire. It may have been a change made specifically for the console game, but even in the time I played the PC game, that's actually the first time I've ever seen that happen. So, of course, I have to remake lunch. At this point, I couldn't get him to play chess. I think it was a motive failure thing now, but I end up just, trading out that checkers table for a chess table. And because he didn't sit there, that's where I kind of thought that it may not have been the table or the game, it was his motives. As you can see, his room value is pretty low. Of course, unfortunately, that means we're also not getting promoted today. So we are now almost completely a week into this 100 Days challenge. As you can see here, another motive issue. He doesn't feel good enough to play chess, although I suspect it was because he had to shit very badly. Of course, he takes a shower, and we go to play some chess. Gotta build that logic skill up. I'm actually surprised he played it for as long as he did, considering how low his motives were, particularly his fun, social, and room value. But I got the 2 points I needed, which was the important thing. So now, as far as skill points go, we are golden. Play with the local cat some to improve his socials, and then head off to work. Unfortunately, he wasn't in a good enough mood to get promoted, but that's okay, because I have the requisite skills, and as long as I can get his mood back up where it needs to be, I can get him promoted. So, just another day of the routine. Watch some more TV. At this point, I decided to sell the microwave, because if he's able to just set shit on fire regardless, I'm gonna have him cook on something that improves his hunger value way more than just, I believe, the 2 that the microwave did. Of course, pet more animals to make him happier. And I thought to make some more gnomes to build up a little bit more cash, but clearly I, didn't really do more than one. We're off to work again, and we are now promoted. $240 a day and a bonus of $480, which financially puts us in a pretty good standing, which we're bringing in a decent amount of money, enough that I decide I can afford a maid, which saves me the trouble of picking up the damn magazines and newspapers every day. Now, naturally, I'm going to check what he needs to get promoted to his next position, and friends are one of the hardest things to make in this game. I don't know what it is, but most social interactions don't seem to go over extremely smoothly. I think in this game in particular, they based a lot of how people react to you off of your star sign, but I don't know the mechanics that well to confirm or deny that. Somebody else probably could. So, obviously, we're going to knock out the easier things first, which is the skills. to 3 gnomes again, and I never seem to make more than 3 gnomes at a time. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I decided to sell these off for a grand total of $33. We're moving up in the world. And of course, a phone call coming in. Phone calls can be good sources of money. Oh. Untrustworthy. Bet it's you. Phone calls can be a really good source of money in The Sims 1, sometimes netting you anywhere from a pittance of $50 to, I believe I've seen $1,400, possibly more. Quick nap, off to work again. We're back. Clearly we're not going to get promoted because, well, on top of not having, I believe, the requisite logic skill, we also don't have the 2 friends we need. So more routine here, just sleeping. I think I got up to get a drink at this point, and that's why the camera has just stayed here. Of course, rebuilding his motives. Take a shower and have dinner because he's basically working midnights now. So I guess that's technically breakfast for him. Watch some more TV, build that fun back up, and off to work we go. On day 11, I made a decision to call a cab and go uptown because I figured I need to meet more people, and for some weird reason, I wasn't getting as many random neighbors knocking on the door as I thought I would. I decided to go for the restaurant and store combo at 24 Sim Street there, as a place to meet people. It being a store and restaurant should keep a lot of Sims around the clock. I think I end up spending 12 Sim hours here, roughly. Of course, we wave and try to greet as many people as possible. It doesn't necessarily work out all that well because sometimes they get really occupied with what they're trying to do, and they won't stop to do what you want to do. Even though I'm playing on a very modern PC with, I'm not going to say it's super high specs, this game sometimes hangs up. I just chalk it up to it being a 20-plus-year-old piece of software. Go greeting as many people as possible. This was probably the best conversation I had that went the smoothest the entire time I was here. But yeah, we're going to greet that guy. And then at this point, more people have gathered around, which is good for me because standing right there, I can just greet and speak to people. Kind of pan around to look for somebody else to talk to that I haven't met, and then I decide, what the hell, I'll just buy a magazine. Magazines in The Sims 1, I believe, increase your interests in certain subjects. Can't exactly remember because, like I said, I'm not that well versed in the PC version of this game. Of course, we greet Eldon Hick and we greet Mr. Cool Outfit there. I tried to talk to the janitor, realized I couldn't. Now I'm going to go accost this woman after she's finished her fancy dinner. And at this point, I just call a cab because it's time to go home. Back home, time is frozen on the main lot, so it's still technically day 11, even though enough time has passed that we should be into day 12. Really, it doesn't matter because it's just more routine. We're kind of in a really tedious part of the challenge now here because I have to keep his motives up, but because he's working goofy hours, it's going to be really hard to call people over. Now here I decide to call Mr. Eldon Hick. He's really eager to come over and visit. This doesn't last. Of course, he rings the doorbell. We greet him with a wave. They have a couple of decent small conversations here that work out really well. And unfortunately, these are the only conversations that work out really well. He blocks the stove, so we eat salads. And I try to get him to watch TV. Well, of course, because of the low motive restoration thing, he stands up. Doesn't want to talk about interests. Okay. Doesn't want to talk about interests again. Okay. Does he want to talk about cats? No, he doesn't. Great. So I tell him to fuck off, and of course he doesn't like that either. So we go to bed. And then this happens. So I go from $6,700. I lose $4,000. And now we're at $2,900. I actually knew some of these chance cards were negative, but that was the first time I think I'd ever seen that one in particular. So of course, watch some TV, get the fun motive back up, and we're going to go back to bed here soon. We get up, have just a snack because he woke up super late. We're going to stomp some roaches and then go to work. Here I decided to get the mail because, well, I kind of forgot about it. Remember the last time I got bills was day 5? Yeah. Here I didn't think anything of it. He sets down the first bill and...
What just happened? Fuck.
Yeah. 9 days of unpaid bills. So, that was another kick in the wallet. We decide to call Mr. Eldon again and just talk to him, and he yells at me. Oh, woohoo. So I call somebody else just to make sure the game's not fucked up, and that conversation goes extremely well. I think there was another raccoon visit, or maybe bear visit. But anyway, he goes to work, and we're on to the final day in this video. Try to call Mr. Eldon Hick again, and he yells at me again. So at this point, I have just decided that Eldon Hick is an asshole. This is the point where I realize that something has happened and the maid quit, I guess? Because, well, look at all that shit on my front yard. And the roaches. So I just decided to make him watch TV here. But this video is pretty much winding down, so I did enjoy the process, even though it's a little tedious and a little finicky getting these old games to work properly. That being said, if you would like me to continue the series even further, just like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.